Adhyatma ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Hello. Harihi Om. Brahmavadino vadanti.
Brahmavadino vadanti.
Kim karanam Brahma.
Kim karanam Brahma.
Kutasma jataha.
Kutasma jataha.
Jivamah kena.
Jivamah kena.
Kvacha sampratishta.
Kvacha sampratishta.
Adhisthitah kena.
Adhisthitah kena.
Sukhetareshu.
Sukhetareshu.
Vartamahe.
Vartamahe.
Brahmavido vyavastham.
Brahmavido vyavastham.
So, last time we have seen how there is a refusal, in a way, to graduate. This is what I was speaking about in the East Coast as well. There is, as it were, a refusal to graduate. From what? Kindergarten. Yeah.
From praise to Shreyas.
Yeah, from prayers to Shreyas, from the first portion of the Veda, which is all preparation, to the last portion of the Veda, which is for which reason the preparation is done. You see, the preparation cannot be the end. If the preparation becomes the end, then the quest becomes endless. This is what happens. And so therefore there has to be an awareness. And what is that awareness? That everything that is done is for the sake of this knowledge. And that awareness itself and the life led in that awareness is what in the Bhagavad Gita is called Karma Yoga. That the action is itself made into something that prepares me, into a means that prepares me for this knowledge. Action is made into a means. Anything, the relationships are all a means. Everything that is there is a means. And what is the end? Freedom from self-doubt, self-non-acceptance, pain, fear, sorrow. This is the human lot, also called samsara. Samsara. Samsara is nothing. It's not outside. It's just in the 6-inch space here. In between the temples is samsara. Because as much as there is the discourse outside, in fact, more than that is the discourse within. Correct? Did I do the right thing? What is happening to me? What is me? Where am I headed? What happened yesterday? How did I do this? Did I turn off the stove? Did I lock the door? This is samsara. I think that person doesn't like me. I think this person likes me, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I like that person. This is samsara. Samsara is a somewhat internal dialogue, monologue. Yeah. Like Hamlet started to say everything, to be or not to be, that is the question. That is samsara. Whether it's nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Where is the suffering happening? It's happening here. The Jagat is benign. It's the gift of the Mother and the Father of the universe. How can it be painful? How can that which is created by Bhagavan be wrong? That is what we are trying to understand, that we have to see that which is as infallible. That's why we don't say God is infallible. It's a setup for disaster. That which is infallible is God. Wherever there is infallibility, there is the presence of Bhagavan. This is something we have to understand. And in this understanding itself is a lot of maturity. But even to get here, the first portion of the Veda is an invaluable diving board, to delve into this knowledge. Because what does it do? It prepares the person. First you start with wish fulfillment, and then you slowly say, wishes are like fishes, you can't catch them. You can't catch them. They are very elusive. And so therefore, is this all that is there to life? That is the next question that is asked. And that is what prepares the people to ask the kind of questions that we have been seeing in the first verse. And so the last portion of the Vedanta is not the preparation, it's the present for all the hard work done in the first portion. One has to graduate. One lets go of the rituals. One lets go of everything. But you can't let go of it until one has gained that preparation, really speaking. Whether ritual or it's, some other parallel component, which is the reason why the preparation has to take place. Whatever it is, So this is what, prepares the person. Then of course the next question is, what does the difference between an unprepared person and a prepared person, What is the difference? Unprepared and prepared, what is the difference? Huh?
The words of a teacher do not go back.
Yeah, the unprepared person is called prakrita buddhi. Prakritehe bhavam prakritam, just as nature made. Like those children, there were these twin boys that were raised by the wolves. Did you hear that story? Yeah. And then they behaved also like wolves, because that's the only mother they had known. And the wolf is what? Like every other animal, survival instinct. The wolf doesn't say, I'm going to give all that I have collected today, I'm going to give it in charity. That's not what the wolf says. The wolf is a pack animal. It can, it can look after its own pack. That's about it. It's not interested in, self-help and spiritual growth and emotional growth, And so some of these children who are raised by animals, they have done a study. It's just that there's so much of that in the socialization that they are not able to socialize properly into the human, condition. Why? Because it's prakrita buddhi. They have not, what's the word for it? Used somehow, there has been an interference in using the free will to learn to adapt to situations based on how other people are behaving. Like a small child will look around and maybe it was crying before, and then it will see the other children and say, oh, I'm not supposed to behave like this. And also it's clever enough to know when it can behave like this and when it cannot. At home it will give the parents, it will exhaust all of their karma. And in the school and in the daycare it will behave so nicely, they will say, what is wrong with you? This is the best child ever, what are you talking about? So this is what is called this socialization and the inner desire to be better, that is what leads to what is called a maturity, that is called samskrita buddhi. Everyone is born prakrita. There is a kind of a wildness in children along with the innocence. There is an immediacy and wildness. In the sense that if they want something, they want it now. And they have to have it right then. But then as they grow, these tendencies drop. They learn to wait. They learn to wait for their turn. They learn to let other people go ahead first. They learn to, after their turn to give the toy or whatever it is to the next child, with difficulty, but they learn it. This is the samskrita buddhi. This is what is called samskara. That's why it's called. These are the impressions, the good, samskaras that are given in childhood, meaning how to behave, etc. This is home training. This is what is called home training. And prakrita buddhi And Samskrita Buddhi here, I just gave you this example of the childhood to give you to make you understand the concept. But here in this case, the Prakrita Buddhi and Samskrita Buddhi, refers to people who have emotional maturity, who have taken care of the inner child, who have been able to let go of the first portion of the Veda and its emphasis on wish fulfillment. That they are happy to leave it to others and move on. This is Samskrita Buddhi. Samskrita Buddhi is not a Buddhi that knows Sanskrit. Okay? Yeah. If only it were that simple. Yeah. Samskrita Buddhi is a cultivated Buddhi, a Buddhi that is ready to see the truth of oneself. And so that is the difference between the untrained mind and the trained mind. The trained mind cannot but want this freedom and cannot but want the knowledge that gives this freedom, because the trained mind, trained by the circumstances, trained by the first portion of the Vedas, knows for certain that karma and moksha are like oil and water. They do not mix. Karma cannot lead to moksha. Why? What is karma? Action. Action cannot lead to moksha. Moksha is not a fruit of an action. What would happen if liberation and freedom from self-doubt, self-non-acceptance became what? Fruit of action. That would mean what? What would be the logical... What would happen? What happens to fruit? Tell me that. What happens to... it rots. So then I had moksha for 2 days. And then what? Moksha became like the fruit. Yes. So moksha went to rot. That means what? No more moksha. So moksha means limitlessness. And what is limitlessness? Limitlessness means that which is spatially unbound, temporally unbound, size-wise unbound, in every which way unbound. And that which doesn't come to an end is called limitless. That which doesn't have a beginning is called limitless. That which is uncreated is called limitless. Whereas action is what? Has a beginning, is created, has an end. Of course, action has a result. There is a fruit of action for every action. There is a fruit of action. But think about it. The fruit of action is finite. Action is finite. Moksha is what? Infinite. It's you. So then, karma cannot give me moksha. And the first portion of the Veda is just action. Religious action, spiritual action, mundane action, laukika, vaidika. Those are the 2 kinds of actions that are given. Action cannot give me moksha. Action can give me preparation for moksha. Action does not give me moksha. So therefore what? If I am already what I seek to be and I don't know it, what do I have to do? It's very simple. I have to know it. Simple. That is where the knowledge walks in. So the trained mind, a Samskrita Buddhi, knows that karma cannot lead to self-acceptance. So therefore what do I need? I need knowledge. This is the second portion of the person who has newly graduated into the second portion of the Veda. They are still throwing their cap, and saying, yippee, no more karma. Not no more karma. Karma is for preparation. I am ready for this knowledge. And the certificate, the graduation certificate, says a few things for the one who is embarking on an entry for self-knowledge. What does it say? Viveki. What is Viveki? One who has Viveka. What is Viveka? The ability to discern between what is permanent and impermanent. That is Viveka. What is impermanent? Everything. Everything is impermanent. What is permanent? The one who says everything. The one who says everything is impermanent is the only permanent. So I have to know I, myself. And that self is equated to the cause of the universe. It's very beautiful. So this is Viveka, the ability to discern between the permanent and the impermanent. And then the next thing on the certificate is what? The person has acquired Vairagya. What is Vairagya? The ability to let go of that which is pursuing the impermanent. Because if we keep pursuing the impermanent becomes permanent. The impermanent is permanently pursued. What then? The permanent sits back, relaxes and enjoys the flight and says, go ahead, do whatever you want. So the Vairagya is also defined as objectivity. Objectivity towards everything that is impermanent. Otherwise what happens? One tends to view the world with a certain, what's the word for it? Subjectivity. And what is that subjectivity? It is of two kinds. The subjectivity is called Adhyasa. You superimpose upon the world, upon the Jagat, including this body-mind-sense complex, including your own body-mind-sense complex, things that are not there. You superimpose on it. This is called Adhyasa. And that is of two kinds. What are the two kinds of Adhyasa? One is called a positive superimposition upon things in the world. Oh, this is the best ice cream. This is the best restaurant. Why? Because the first time you went, they gave some papad, they give. In Indian restaurant, they give this, some lentil wafer, roasted, along with some free chutney. Free and old, okay? Yeah. So they gave that, oh, this is the best restaurant. Then you start going every week, then they say, oh, this person is not anything, new. We have already bagged this person. And next time they don't give, because this is only for new, first 1 or 2 times when they come, they give. But they know you now. They know you're on first name basis with them. So they don't even bother to look at you. Then what happens in the mind? This is the worst restaurant. That day you don't like the food, you don't like the service, you don't like anything. You don't like the person you went with, nothing you like. So this is the worst. So this is called Ashobhana Adhyasa. Shobhana means a positive transference. Ashobhana, a negative transference. Based personally on one's ragadveshas, the whole world is either positively experienced or negatively experienced. The same person, through no fault of their own, can bring about wonderful feelings or the most horrible feelings. Yeah, depending on where, that's what I mean, samsara is with it. Depending on where you are, the other unsuspecting person can bring out the best or the worst feelings. This is how we live in the world. This is how we negotiate the world in terms of the positive and negative transference. The absence of Vairagya is the positive and negative transference. Based on immediate ragadveshas, this is what it is. But Vairagya means I'm able to have equanimity in the face of, any kind of situation that I'm faced with. In the face of either a positive situation that I code as positive, or I code as negative. Ishta anishta upapattishu nityam samachittatvam. Always an equal heart with regard to the gain of the ishta. Ishta means what? The desired object. Or anishta means the undesired object. The un is also the negative particle for in Sanskrit. Like undesired, anishta. So faced with ishta, it is easy to be objective and say, wonderful, everything is going my way. It's just I'm having an easy life. But faced with anishta is the test. That's the hot water, And so there also I learned to let go, and it's easy to let go when one is focused on the knowledge. When one is focused on the teaching, it's very easy to let go. Why? Because it doesn't bother so much. Things which bother you otherwise stop bothering when one is focused on the knowledge. The knowledge itself starts to give Vairagya. That is what it is. And then what? Then we have the six pack, right? What are they? Shamadamadi, Shatka Sampattihi. Sampatti means the treasure of the sixfold virtues. Sixfold virtues. As opposed to Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, those are the sixfold negative things. Here, Shama means a mind that is quietened down. Quietened down means what? Drugged, right? Quietened down means what? Which it does not have a lot of irons in the fire. Not too much agenda, not too much stormy emotions. There is this big storm that is coming to the east coast. What is its name? Frankenstorm. Yeah. Huge storm. It's going to come next week. You know, that's usually how the mind is. Always there is an impending hurricane happening. The question is, when is it going to make landfall? And who is going to be in the vicinity? That is also, who is going to be taken out by this landfall? Landfall means the explosion. This is the landfall. Yeah. Or if somebody is physical, that is the landfall. So the question is, when is this? So always there is a tumult and so many thoughts, so many things. One is not able to be free of that, to just sit and enjoy even a cup of tea. You know, like that. You know, I know this person, and this person is very, very, intense like this. And she came once to see Swamiji, and Swamiji said, have some tea. And she looked at her smartphone and started to Google benefits of drinking tea. Right, right there. Then somebody asked, we're sitting in front of Swamiji, what are you doing? No, I'm seeing if it is going to be good for me to have this tea or not. It has, and then she read out what she saw, what she had done, what is that? On the phone you can do. And so she went on the internet on the phone. And then she said, well, here it says that it has antioxidants. 3 of them, she named them also. Some flavonoids and antioxidants, that's a good thing. But then, if you drink more than 1 cup, something happens. And if you drink less than 1 cup, nothing happens. And so, so how much is the tea that you're giving? And how big is your cup? Because 1 cup means 8 ounces should be there. This is what I mean, is that there is a storm brewing. And is it really about the tea? Is she worried about the tea? No. The worry is attaching to the tea right now. Because that is what was talked about. If some nuts had been offered, she would have benefits of eating almonds. Something she would have done. So, this is what I'm trying to talk about, that there is no space. And that space is overcrowded in the head. There is no leisure. There is no space. There is just too much tumult. And even though the person was convinced this is about the tea, it's not about the tea. Yeah. It's about simplicity. That's really what it is. The mind is making life more complex than what it should be. And if you want, drink it. Otherwise, just take a sip and give it to somebody. What is the big deal? Or, say no, thank you. I don't want it. But this is the non-resolved mind, where there are too many irons in the fire, too many things going on, an internal monologue of sorts. And so that is what is called, and the ability to quieten the mind is called Shama. Shama cannot happen without Dhamma. Dhamma means the what is it called? The way to have a say over the organs of action. Remember, speech is an organ of action. Taste buds are the sense organ. The same tongue doubles. It doubles, it has a dual purpose. That's why we have to be very careful with the tongue. It's a sense organ, correct? And then it's also an organ of action. So therefore, the organ of speech, hands, legs, all these things are called karmendriyani. And with reference to the karmendriyas, I have to have a certain, ability to have them in my say, including vak. That is why vak, tapas, austerity, not just keeping maunam. Maunam doesn't do much. It will help out your relatives, yes. If you are quiet, they are happy. But maunam doesn't do much for one. Vak tapas means speaking carefully, speaking the minimal amount, and not saying things that you really want to say which are not necessary to say. This is important to have. This is a gift that one can give oneself. Then we have Uparati. Uparati is part of this discussion of the six. What is Uparati? Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the big stuff also. Just don't sweat. That's it, Yeah. Letting go of control is Uparati, which is very difficult to do. Micromanagement, control, what is happening over there? Why are you worried? You are over here, enjoy. No, are they listening to me over there? Where? In the next city. Why are you bothered whether what you said they are minding your words or not? It doesn't matter. Right now you are here. The ability to be here, right now, and letting go of control and micromanagement is Uparati. Then we have what? Titiksha. From Tij, patience, forbearance. Forbearance. With regard to physical and emotional discomfort, forbearance. The ability to ride it out and to know that other people have also been through it. This is not such a big deal. The ability to ride it out without A, loudly wailing, or B, silently consuming oneself with worry. This is called titiksha. So sometimes one complains. You know that story which Swamiji told, right? What is that story? Remember that? Don't know that story? Okay. This is the first-hand story that happened to him. He was sitting in the train, and his husband and wife were sitting in the seat opposite to him. And the train went for a stretch, and the water bottle was empty. And this man, gave his wife good. He said, "How come you didn't remind me to fill up the water bottle?" This was in those days when inside the train there are not these people peddling things around. No, in those days you just had to eat at the station, and then the rest of the time, keep quiet. And so now you eat all the time. That's the only difference in train journey. At every time, whether there is station or no station, you eat. So anyhow, here he is very upset. You see, he said, "I'm so thirsty. Don't you know I'm so thirsty? We had dosas for breakfast and that has made me thirsty. I'm really thirsty. And how you did not know to fill up this water?" She says, "Well, you should have filled it up yourself," she said. Because poor lady listened to it 5-6 times. Then she said, "Why did you remind yourself?" And Swamiji was just sitting there watching everything. And everybody and the people who were there, who had some water, gave it to him. Glug, 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 he chugged it. And then immediately he started to say, "I'm so thirsty, I'm so thirsty, I'm still thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty." When is the next station? 1.5 hours. And then more than him, the other people in the compartment groaned because they had to listen to this. I'm so thirsty for an hour and 20 minutes. And he went on and on, I'm so thirsty, I'm so thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty. Abba, the station came. He went, got down. Wife also got down. Other people gave them their extra bottles. They filled it up. He drank from the fountain, till he himself looked like a big water bottle. Then what? Got on the train. Everybody heaved a sigh of relief. They said, Abba, thank God, now we can, have some P&Q. Peace and quiet. What did he say? As soon as the train left, he started to say, I was so thirsty. You know how thirsty I was? Oh my God, I've never been so thirsty in my life. I was so thirsty, I was so thirsty, I was so thirsty. What did Swamiji do? Thank him for giving us this story. I suppose, I don't know what he did. But this is lack of titiksha. Lack of titiksha. Because not having enough filters are not there where they need to be. So this is called alapanam or vilapanam. Vilapanam is wailing loudly, which is what this man does. And some people say, I don't wail loudly at all. I just keep quiet. Inside there is a big hole. Why? Because I have self-combusted through worry. Yeah, this is the two typologies of non-titiksha, the two ideal types of non-titikshus, like mumukshu, titikshu. So a non-titikshu will either wail loudly or corrode from inside, Yeah. So that is the definition of titiksha we saw in the Viveka Chudamani. Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam. Apratikara means without Sahanam, the ability to Sahanam means how to translate that. Sahanam means the ability to be with, to witness all the pains and sorrows, emotional or physical, without retaliation at oneself or others. Apratikara purvakam, without, too much retaliation. I mean, if you can go to the doctor, you can go. It's not about being a masochist. That is not titiksha. But supposing the doctor says you're going to have 8 hours of pain or whatever it is, or this much days of discomfort, you will be there. But then after that you will be okay. So this is titiksha. And then the chinta vilapa rahitam. Vilapa we saw. I was so thirsty, I am so thirsty. Chinta means the self-corrosion inside, like there is termites of worry which are destroying one from within. One is just a hollow shell, just going about the motions of the day, but inside is like a wall of termites within. So the titiksha is very important. And the ability to say this too shall pass. And then we have what? Samadhanam, the single-minded focus, the ability to let go of other things when one is engaged in the study during class and study time. And also in life, the ability to focus single-mindedly on the knowledge is called samadhanam, also called nishchayatmika buddhi. The ability to commit to the teachings is called samadhanam. Then finally, Shraddha. Shraddha is the eyes through which I see the Shastra. The Shastra is something, the teaching is something that is going to give me what I can't get otherwise. This is Shraddha. Shastrasya Guruvakyasya Satya Buddhi Avadharana. Avadharana means the ability to hold what? Satya Buddhi, that this is real, this is true. With reference to what? Shastrasya, with reference to the teaching. And the teaching does not walk in by itself. In fact, if you read, you don't understand. So therefore, what? Guru Vakyasya. the words of the teacher. That ability, and the respect that I give to the Shastra, the teaching, is called Shraddha. This is the six-pack. Then how many? Six-pack is counted as one. How many have we finished?
3.
3. The fourth one is what? Mumukshutvam. Yeah. Mumukshutvam means the ability to desire this freedom. Yeah. The desire for this freedom, when it is kept alive, is called mumukshutvam. So this is what is written on the certificates of the newly graduated people from Karma Kanda, the first portion of the Vedas. Because last time I started the class by asking, what does it take to ask these kinds of questions? This is what it takes. This is what it takes. Otherwise, these kinds of questions, kutasma jataha, kaha jivamaha, kena jivamaha, kvacha sampratishta. What is all this? We don't know. Please help us understand this. These kinds of questions don't come. It's an introspective mind that has been emptied out of worry and fear and all that static noise of life, has calmed down to an extent that one can revel in these kinds of questions. And that is where the second portion, which is Vedanta, starts to speak up. And what does the second portion of the Vedas say? Vedanta means the end of the Vedas. What does the second portion say? The second portion posits an equation between you, Tvam, and what? Brahman as the cause of the universe. The cause of the universe is Brahman. And that Brahman is who? You. That is the equation. An equation works only because there are two dissimilar things, apparent differences, which have an underlying, not similarity, identity. This is what is called an equation. The apparent differences with the underlying non-difference. The differences have to be tackled, and the differences have to be shown to be apparent, meaning relative, not absolute. What is absolute is the non-difference. What the differences don't matter really. This is an equation. Like supposing, and that is why it requires a certain maturity. Like supposing a 4th grade kid or a 3rd grade kid is told by the teacher, 5 plus 4 is equal to 20 minus 11. What? The child is confused, perplexed. On the one side, single digits plus sign. On the other side, double digits minus sign. How the two can be the same? How on earth can both of them be the same? But they can, because you transcend the single and the double digits. You transcend the plus and the minus signs. You transcend all of that. And so 5 plus 4 is equal to 9. 20 minus 11 is also equal to 9. So it's not similar. 9 is just like 9. No, 9 is the number here. 9 is that which is a common denominator to both. So here too, this is what Vedanta has to say. This is what is the meaning of the Upanishad, that which transcends the limitations in the body-mind, in the form of the body-mind-sense complex, and yields the truth of oneself as that which is Jagat Karanam Brahma, Ishvara. Ishvara also, on the Ishvara side of the equation also, the whole, there is a certain transcendence of the name and form. Limitless name, limitless form, etc. And then on the Jiva's side also there is a transcending the name and the form. A miserable form with a few names, So this is what is Vedanta. And embarking upon learning this, the sages in the forest ask a few questions. They are very deep. Let us see. So, Kim Karanam Brahma? Is Kim Karanam Brahma means what is the cause? Is Brahman the cause? Cause means what? Everything has a cause, correct? We are starting with pot. Where is this? Yeah. Starting with pot, and then inside this pot we have little pot, many cracks, crack pot, and pot. This also has a cause. What is the cause of this pot? Clay. What is the cause of this pot? Another clay. No, still more clay. Clay. So the clay is so many pots, one clay. So the clay is the cause of the pot. Can we stop there? No, because the clay also has a cause. What is the cause of clay? Then you have to say molecules, particles, quarks, and then you have this infinitesimal, small things. Then you say particle. And then sometimes it's not a particle because it waves to you and behaves like a wave. Here we are in quantum physics. Because the observer is affecting the experiment. This is what is it. That's why it's so obedient. Sometimes it's a wave, sometimes it's a particle. This is what got this time also the Nobel Prize in Physics went to quantum physicists. So when you talk quantum, you're talking Vedanta already. Already you're in that realm. Yeah. So therefore everything sort of somewhere the buck has to stop. Somewhere you have to say, finally I have arrived at the cause, which itself doesn't have another cause. Because if it had another cause, then we are a lost cause here. Because if Brahman also had another cause, then what is the cause for studying Brahman? Because that is also finite. It has another cause. It has another mummy and daddy. So then we have to get to know the mummy and daddy of Brahman. And that mummy daddy will have another mummy daddy. Then we have to get to know the grandparents of Brahman. Where is we are in a nice infinite regression. So therefore what? Therefore we stop at the causeless cause. An uncaused cause. A cause that did not need an origin from which it has come. That is the causeless cause. So then Brahman therefore must be what? Created or uncreated? Uncreated. Yeah. If there is any doubt, dismiss it right away. Uncreated. Because created means it has antecedents. Some mummy daddy, granddaddy, grandmummy will come. Correct? Uncreated. So uncreated means what? It is always there. Right? That is what we call eternal. Uncreated. And then if it is uncreated and it is, this Brahman is. And if it is the cause of everything that we see, that we touch, that we hear, that is the means of that we are able to, interact with through various means of knowledge. If we are able to do that, then how come Brahman is the cause of everything? One question. See, in this one question, all this is there. And how come that one Brahman became all this? Number two, if Brahman became all this, then Brahman must have lost a lot of weight. Because with each manifestation, Brahman is losing, has become very emaciated. Then soon to become what? Not Brahman is, but Brahman was. So what kind of the coming of the Jagat out of Brahman, what form has that taken? This is what it means, Kim Karanam Brahma. Because there are so many causes. There is cause upon cause upon cause upon cause upon cause. The whole world is a chain, an endless chain of causation. What is the last link on it? Which itself doesn't have one more link, one more antecedent. And that is what is called Brahma. And then the next one, Kutasma Jataha. From where have we come? And not only from where, it also means how this Brahma, how have we come from this Brahma? if you say Brahman is uncreated, if it is already there, then where did it borrow the raw material? Where did it get the raw material? Like if you want to make a cake, you can go to the neighbor and say, I just have this craving for cake, but I don't have flour. Please give a cup of flour. You get the flour and you put the sugar and everything and make a cake. Where is poor Brahman going to go? Tell me. Which door? Door is also Brahman. The one who answers the door is also Brahman. So there is no ability. There is a total inability. Being the only thing that there is nothing else to borrow from. Who to borrow anything from? So therefore what? This is what kutasma jata. So how did this Brahman make this jagat? And then once it made this jagat, because Brahman is neuter, the word Brahman is neuter, once it made this jagat, what did it do? Did it run away? Did it go and sit in a place called heaven? God created the world and then went away and sat in heaven. This is the fruit of many theologies say this. And in fact, even in the Hindu philosophy, there are certain beliefs that God is somewhere there, far away. You get a crick in the neck because you're constantly looking up. That is not Vedanta. Vedanta is Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam, all Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this verily is Brahman alone. There is nothing other than Brahman. There is nothing extra, there is nothing more, there is nothing less. All there is Brahman. This is Vedanta. And so therefore if Brahman is there, everywhere, and it's not that Brahman made it and went away, then that leads us to the next question. Then if Brahman has become the Jagat, how come it is still running the show? This is a very important question. Brahman has become the Jagat. It has become transformed into the Jagat. And then what? How come it's still running the show? Because if milk becomes yogurt, then you cannot use it for payasam. Payasam means a certain sweet dish, You cannot use it for that. And so therefore, what? Therefore, how has Brahman given birth to this Jagat without undergoing any change? And we, the sages who are talking about this, feel the pull of Brahman in our lives in the form of what? How do you feel Brahman the most? In the form of karma. In the form of the order of karma, we feel Brahman. And why just karma? The weather, we feel Brahman. The rain, the snow, and any kind of inclement weather, there is the presence of Brahman. Meaning what? Anything that I cannot control, we attribute to Brahman. So obviously there is a law there. In fact, there are a series of laws that are being manifest in my life. And my body-mind-sense complex doesn't have any control over these laws. Jiva maha kena, by whom are we sustained? In and through these laws there is an intelligence and an infallibility. In fact, the very infallibility of the laws is their intelligence. So who is it that sustains the Jagat? And then, Kvacha Sampratishtha. Sampratishtha means what? Where do we go? Where is the home? Swing low, sweet chariot. There is one song. Coming forth to carry me home. So where is this home? The chariot can swing low and pick me up, all right. But where is it going to take me? So from where have I come? Who is in control of this body-mind-sense complex? Called this Jiva. And who is the one from, where am I headed? Where do I really come from? Where do I go back to? And while I'm here, how am I sustained? And then finally it's brought about more. Adhisthitaha kena. Adhisthitaha means controlled by who? Do we go on the roller coaster of happiness and sorrow? Sukha itareshu. The word Upanishad will not use the word dukkha. Very rarely. Dukkha means what? Happiness, correct?
Suffering.
No. Sorrow and suffering. Upanishad is very polite because the Upanishad deals only with happiness. It's almost shy of using the word, unhappiness. Sukha it uses happily, Happily it says sukha and then itara. Itara means and the other one. Itara means other. Itareshu. So, who is the controller of these mood swings in my mind with reference to happiness and that other thing that is not to be mentioned in Vedantic societies? So Upanishad is shy of saying that because really there is no sorrow. We'll see that later. And so therefore, in this experienced dichotomy of happiness and that other thing, other thing means what? The absence of that happiness or the sorrow or the pain and all these things, anger, fear, everything. The non-conducive mental states, the negative emotional mental states that I'm trying to get rid of, which itself is a big clue that I'm not that. Because if I was comfortable being that, then I would say, okay, little more anger, I'll be wonderful. Because nobody says I'm happy enough. Little more happiness, can you stand? Oh, sure. But if you ask somebody, little more sorrow, how about just, no, I have enough. I have enough to give you. So don't bother me. That itself is a big clue. What is the clue? The clue is that, this happiness and sorrow are not, there is no such thing as sorrow. The happiness is already what I seek. What I seek is what I already am. The sorrow is an interloper. Yeah, it's an impostor. It's an uninvited being which I'm trying to keep at bay. And so here, Adhisthata means the one who is in charge, the controller of my mind, of the way the thoughts suddenly drop in the mind. Nobody wants to think bad thoughts. Bad thoughts with reference to oneself and others frequently come. Oh, I wish this person was not in the universe because then my life would be so much better. How did I think that? I don't want to think that, but somehow the thought fell in the mind. Who brought that thought in? Because already I said I didn't want to think that thought. How did that thought come in? And then how do all the moods, the sorrow and the happiness, and I refuse to call them, some people say alternating sorrows of happiness and, alternating cycles of happiness and sorrow. They're not alternating cycles. Alternating cycles, everybody would be happy. Because once sorrow comes, what is next? Happy. And once happiness comes, what is next? The other one. So, this. Correct? It's not alternating sorrows, cycles at all. It is mostly sorrow, oh, happiness, sorrow, oh, little bit of happiness, sorrow. Why? This is Shani Mahadasha. The Maha Saturn cycle lasting 18.5 years. Yeah, sorrow. We have to say that for 18 years. And then what? Happiness. So, like this, it's not alternating cycles at all. But obviously it's not random. There is an intelligence behind it. There is an intelligence behind the karmic retribution that comes, only to me. There must be an intelligence. This is the sage thinking. asking the question. Why me? When I say why me, that means that there is a karmic retribution happening only to me. How come? How come isn't there some larger plan there? And what is that plan? Where is the blueprint hidden? How can I go there? How can I go and get that blueprint to find out how to, write a different code, because this code I don't like. It's very old and boring. And this is all inside that, sukha itareshu vartamahe adhishtitaha kena. So we live in this strange world of happiness and that other impostor that we don't even want to name, decreed by whom? Adhishtitaha means decreed. Decreed by whom? Under whose decree is this sorrowful mind, is this sad and sorry mind? And then what? Vyavastham means decreed by which law? Yeah. Brahmavidaha means it's not knowers of Brahman, even though it's plural. Like I said, it is singular, but for respect it is used for the plural, So, under whose laws, under whose infallible laws are we, subject to all this happiness and the other thing? O Brahmavit, O knower of Brahman, O teacher, please tell us. This is a group of students with a question. Next one. Kalasvabhavaha Niyatir yadricha Bhutani yonihi Purusha iti chintyaha Sanyoga esham Natvatma bhavat Atma api Anishaha Sukha dukkha hetoh. Here finally it is making it clear that the itara, the other one, was referring to dukkha. This we will see next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Any questions are there? Yes.
Yes, you spoke first, Swamini, of people who are at the stage of wish fulfillment, and then secondly of those who have the spirit of inquiry and who are searching for ultimate truth. But I observed that there is another, or maybe I don't know what category to put them in, people, it seems that Ishvara has taken on different kind of personalities. There are many people who are attracted for one reason or other to this personality or that personality, and they may have some affection for that, and they're not exactly in wish fulfillment, maybe not be exactly for ultimate knowledge either, but they have some affection for this.
For the knowledge.
For the deity.
For the deity.
Deity. Like whatever personality of God. Or
No, that is, that is there. They, it is not that you stop becoming a devotee, and like I said, the two, the two things which we are talking about are the continuums, two sides of the continuum. So whatever we talk, the human being a form of Bhagavan, will transcend those categories in a certain sense. So they may be in between, you see, or they may be transitioning from one to another, or they may be permanently unable to make up their minds, and they may be also like a little bit here, little bit there, little bit of moksha, little bit of samsara. Samsara and moksha cannot be on the same plate, we have seen that. And they may be having some difficulty committing, that is usually It's a person in terms of personalities. It's a difficulty with commitment. It's commitment issues, which is again the past. It is not the present. It can be overcome. Commitment issue is not a big thing to overcome. Everybody has it. Some people have it in a little greater measure because of the past. Commitment issue comes from trust, fear of being abandoned. So therefore what? The defense mechanism is such that I will leave you before you leave me. This is what it is. This is the commitment issue. I don't want to be caught in anything because it will all come to a bad end. Of that I am convinced. Why? Because of the past. So that could be, that is inability to transition. We are caught in the middle of two things. But again, it's yoginaha karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. Means, this is what the Bhagavad Gita says. It's not that you stop doing karma. Because even if you say, I'm going to stop doing karma, that itself is an action. If you say, I'm going to sit quietly, sitting is an action. So, really, it's not about stopping karma. It's about seeing seeing its finitude and seeing both its uses and its non-uses. I don't use karma in order to gain knowledge, but I make use of karma to continue to grow. So it's not that one stops being devoted, it's not that one stops being a devotee. A person who is a karma kandin means the one who is into karma, the wish-fulfilling person, will be looking upon the deity very differently. Not just with affection, but as the cash cow, that you can milk. Look, I'm doing abhisheka not just with milk but with heavy whipping cream. So what are you going to give me? I'm giving more. You gave me, this is the cash cow. But the one who is a karma yogi, the one who is geared, karma yogi means the one who is dedicated to knowledge. The ritual is not important. What is important is that it helps me to overcome resistance and it helps me to grow. That is what the thing is. And so if it is puja, if the person who is a karma yogi is doing puja, the puja is for the sake of self-growth and overcoming fears and resistance. That's the difference. Yeah. So the difference is not in what they do, but how they do it and what is the attitude with which it is done.
If they love the God, they just like thinking about the God.
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
They just love the God. Just
Yes.
whatever.
That doesn't matter, yeah.
So
and there are different
where
ways.
Are they in this?
No, there are different ways in.
No reason. They just love it.
There is nothing wrong in loving it. Everybody loves it. And then the question is there Advaita bhava in that love or is there Advaita bhava? Soham bhavena pujayet. It says that. Deho devalaya proktaha. This body is verily the temple, And then what? Deho devalaya proktaha. Jivo deva sanatana. The indweller is very much the Bhagavan, is Ishvara. Tyajet ajnana nirmalyam means take out the old flowers and residues of ignorance. Soham bhavena pujayet. When you do puja, do saha aham. Do it with a non-difference. Evoke the non-difference and say, what I am worshipping is myself, is the truth of who I am. And from that place, all worship, all relating, all love is beautiful, and that is the ultimate end of the human, pursuit. But the first portion of the Veda, there is always Dvaita. You are there, you are separate from me because you are the one who's going to give me these favors that I have in my mind. Yeah, so there is a difference. So you see the second one is much more mature, much more nuanced and much more complete and has that non-duality, whereas the first one has more of the means ends kind of a thing. Yeah. Other questions?